Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Ooh, that sounded like Jeffree Star. I was gonna start over, but I think that'd be kind of funny to keep in. Anyways, so it's been a while. I know I look a little crazy. Ignore the acne on my face. Girl, it's been stressful out here with work. I'm now a 21-year-old. Shit's crazy. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to. So, sorry for my a little late little bit of an absence. It wasn't that bad, but I wrote down on a sticky note to do this video because I find it very important that I do this. I don't know why. Anyways, let's just jump right into it, into Canto 12. I think I read that right. The Minotaur, the Seventh Circle, the Violent, the Ritter Phlegethon, the Violent against their neighbors, the Centaurs, and the Tyrants. Those are all like the weird, that's like the heading. The place where to descend the bank we came was alpine, and from what was there, moreover, of such a kind that every eye would shun it. Such as that ruin is which in the flank smote on this side of Trent the adaged, either way by earthquake or by failing stay. For from the mountain's top for which it moved, unto the plain the cliff is shattered so, some path would give to him who was above it. Even such was the descent of that ravine, and on the border of the broken chasm the infamy of Crete was stretched along, who was conceived in the fictitious cow, and when he was us beheld he bit himself, even as one whom anger racks within. My sage towards him shouted, Peradventure, thou thinkest that there may be the Duke of Athens, who in the world would have brought death to thee? Get thee gone, beast, for this one cometh not instructed by thy sister, but he comes in order to behold your punishments. So it's the Minotaur. Ermagerd. How crazy. As in that bull who breaks loose at the moment in which he has received the mortal blow, who cannot walk but staggers here and there. The Minotaur beheld I do the like, and he, the wary, cried, Run to the passage, while he worth 'tis well thou shouldest descend. Thus down we took our way o'er that discharge of stones, which oftentimes did move themselves beneath my feet from the unwonted burden. Thoughtful I went, and he said, Thou art thinking perhaps upon this ruin, which is guarded by that brute anger which just now I quenched. Now will I have thee know, the other time I here descend to the nether hell, this precipice had not yet fallen down. But truly, if I well discern a little before his coming, who the mighty spoil bore off from Dis, in the supernatural circle, upon all sides the deep and loathsome valley trembled so, that I thought the universe was thrilled with love, by which there are who think the world often sometimes converted into chaos, and at that moment this primeval crag, both here and elsewhere, made such overthrow. But fix thine eyes below, for draweth near the river of blood within, which boiling is whoe'er by violence doth injure others. O blind cupidity, O wrath insane, that spurs us onward so in our short life, and in the eternal then so badly steeps us. I saw an ample moat bent like a bow, as one which all the plains encompasses, comfortable to what my guide has said, and between this and the embankment's foot centaurs in file were running armed with arrows, as in the world they used the chase to follow. Beholding us descend, each one stood still, and from the squadron 3 detached themselves, with bows and arrows in advance selected. And from afar one cried, Unto what torment come ye, who down the hillside are descending? Tell us from there, if not, I draw the bow. My master said, Our answer will we make to Chiron, near you there, Chiron? I don't know. In evil hour, that will of thine evermore so hasty. Then touched he me, and said, This one is Nessus, who perished for the lovely Degenaria, and for himself did vengeance take. And he is in the midst at who his breast is grazing. And the great Chiron, who brought up Achilles, and other Pholus is who was so wrathful. Thousands and thousands go about the moat, shooting with shafts whatever soul emerges out of the blood more than his crime allots. And then this is the centaurs with their bows, ready to fucking murk them for some reason. And then here is another picture of said centaurs about to get down. Near we approached unto those monsters' fleet. Chiron an arrow took, and with the notch backward upon his jaws he put his beard. After he had uncovered his great mouth, he said to his companions, Are you aware that he behindeth moved where he touches? Thus not want do the feet of the dead man. And my good guide, who now at his breast, where the two natures are joined together, replied, Indeed he lives, and thus alone. Me it behooves to show him the dark valley. Necessity and not delight impels us. Someone withdrew from singing Hallelujah, who unto me committed this new office. No thief is he, nor I a thievish spirit. But by that virtue, though which I am moving, my steps along this savage thoroughfare, give us someone of thine to be with us, and who may show us where to pass the ford, and who may carry this one on his back, for 'tis no spirit that can walk the air. Upon his right breast Chiron wheeled about, and said to Nessus, Turn and do thou guide them, and warn aside, if other bands may meet you. We with our faithful escort onward moved, along the brink of the vermilion boiling, wherein the blood were uttering loud laments. People I saw within up to the eyebrows, and the great centaur said, Tyrants are these, who dealt in bloodshed and pillaging. Here they lament their pitiless mischiefs. Here is Alexander, the fierce Dionysus, who upon Sicily brought dolorous years. That forehead there, which has the hair so black, is Azalian, and the other who is blonde, Ebizo of Este, who in truth up in the world was by his stepson slain. Then turned I to the poet and he said, Now he be first to thee, and second I. A little farther on the centaur stopped above a folk, who far down as the throat seemed from that boiling stream to issue forth. A shade he showed us on one side alone, saying, He cleft asunder into God's bosom. The heart that still upon tames is honored. Then people I saw, who from out the river lifted their heads, and also the chest, and many among these I recognized. Thus ever more and more grew shallower that blood, so that the feet alone it covered, and there across the moat our passage was. Even as though here upon this side beholdest the boiling stream that aye diminishes, the centaur said, I wish thee to believe that on this more and more declines its bed, until it reunites itself, where it behoveth tyranny to groan. Justice divine upon this side is goading, that Attila, who is a scourge on earth, and Pyrrhus and Sextus, and forever milks the tears which the boiling it unseals, and Renier da Cornetto and Renier Pazzo, who made upon the highways so much war. Then back he turned and passed again the ford. And that's it. He's just like, these bitches are evil, and they killed people, so now they're like in water up to their head, I guess. So Canto 13. The wood of thorns, the harpies, the violent against themselves, suicides, Pierre della Vina, Lano and Jacopo de Sant'Andrea. I don't know. Not yet had Nessus reached the other side, when we had put ourselves within a wood that was not marked by any path whatever. Not foliage green, but of a dusky color, not branches smooth, but gnarled and intertangled, not apple trees were there, but thorns with poison. Such tangled thickets have not, nor so dense, those wild savages in the hatred hold twixt Sina and Cornetto, the tilted places. There do the hideous harpies make their nests, who chase the Trojans from the Strophades, with sad announcement of impending doom. I guess these are like people trees that are really sad. That's what that looks like. Broad wings have they, and necks and faces human, and feet with claws, and their great bellies fledged, and they make laments upon the wondrous trees. The good master says, Ere thou enter farther, know that thou art within the second round, thus he began to say, and shalt be till thou hast come upon the horrible sand. Therefore look well around, and thou shalt see things that will crescendence give unto my speech. I heard on all sides lamentations uttered, and person none beheld I who might make them, whence utterly bewildered I stood still. I think he thought that I perhaps might think so many voices issued through those trunks from people who concealed themselves from us. Therefore the master said, If thou break off some little spray from any of these trees, the thoughts thou hast will wholly be made vain. Then stretched I forth my hand a little forward, and plucked a branchlet off the great thorn. The trunk cried, Why dost thou mangle me? After it had become embrowned with blood, it recommenced its cry. Why dost thou rend me? Hast thou no spirit of pity whatsoever? Men once we were, and now we are changed to trees. Indeed, thy hand should be more pitiful, even if the souls of serpents we had been. And then here's Dante picking a branch off a tree, and he's like, why the fuck did you just do that? As out of a green brand that is on fire, at one of the ends from the other drips and hisses with the wind that is escaping. So from that splinter issued forth together both words and blood, whereat I let the tip fall, and stood like a man who is afraid. Had he been able sooner to believe, my sage may answer, O thou wounded soul, what only in my verses he has seen. Not upon thee he had stretched forth his hand, whereas the thing incredible has caused me to put him to an act which grieveth me. But tell him who thou wast, so that by way of some amends thy fame he may refreshed up in the world to which he can return. And the trunk said, so thy sweet words allure me, I cannot silent be, and you be vexed not, that I a little to discourse I am tempted. I am the one who both keys had in keeping of Frederick's heart, and turned them to and fro so softly on unlocking and inlocking. And that from his secrets most men I withheld. Fidelity I bore the glorious office, so great I lost thereby my sleep and pulses. The courtesan who never from the dwelling of Kaiser turned aside her strumpest eyes, death universal and the vice of courts, inflamed against me in all other minds, and they inflamed so inflamed Augustus, and my glad honors turned to dismissal mornings. My spirit in disdainful exultation, thinking by dying to escape disdain, made me unjust against myself, the just. I, by the roots unwanted of this wood, do swear to you that I never broke I faith unto my Lord, who was so worthy of honor, and to the world if one of you return, let him my memory comfort, which is lying still prostrate from the blow that envy dealt it. While it waited a while, and then, since he is silent, the poet said to me, lose not the time, but speak and question him, if more may please thee. Whence I to him, do thou again inquire concerning what thou thinkest will satisfy me, for I cannot such pity is in my heart. Therefore he recommended, so may the man do it for thee freely, what thy speech implores, spirit incarcerate, again be pleased to tell us in what way the soul is bound within these knots, and tell us if thou canst, if any from such members error is freed. Then blew the trunk amain, and afterward the wind was into such a voice converted, with brevity shall be replied to you. When the exasperated soul abandons the body whence it rent itself away, Minos consigns it to the seventh abyss. It falls into the forest, and no part is chosen for it, but where fortune hurls it, there, like a grain of spelt, it germinates. It springs a sapling and a forest tree. The harpies feeding then upon its leaves do pain create, and for the pain an outlet. Like others for our spoil shall we return, but not that any one may them revest, for 'tis not just to have what one casts off. Here we shall drag them, and along the dismissal forest our bodies shall suspend be, each to the thorn of his molested shade. We were attentive still unto the trunk, thinking that more it yet might wish to tell us, when by a tumult we were overtaken, in the same way as he is who perceives the boar and chase approaching to his stand, who hears the crashing of the beasts and branches. And to behold, upon our left side, naked and scratching, fleeing so furiously that of the forest every fan they broke, he who was in advance, now help, death, help! And the other one, who seemed to lag too much, was shouting, Lano, we're not so alert. Here's like some dudes running out of the forest. I guess those dudes that were just yelling, they're like, oh my god. Those legs of thine are at joustings of the topo. And then perchance because his breath was failing, he grouped himself together with a bush. Behind them was the forest full of black she-mastiffs, ravenous and swift of foot as greyhounds, who were issuing from the chain. On him who had crouched down they set their teeth, and him they lacerated piece by piece, thereafter bore away those aching members. Thereat my escort took me by the hand, and led me to the bush, that all in vain was weeping from its bloody lacerations. O Jacopo, said, of Sant'Andrea, what helped it thee of me to make a screen? What blame have I in thy nefarious life? When near him had the master stayed his steps, he said, who wast thou, and through wounds so many art blowing out with blood thy dolorous speech? And he to us, O souls that hither come to look upon the shameful massacre that has so rent away from me and my leaves, gather them up beneath the dismissal bush. I of that city was which to the Baptist changed its first Patreon, wherefore he for this forever with his art will make it sad. And were it not on that pass of the Arno, some glimpses of him are remaining still. Those citizens who afterwards rebuilt it upon the ashes left by Attila, in vain had caused their labor to be done. Of my own house I made myself a gibbet. Like, the something for the Crocs? Like, what? So that's it for, those 12 and 13. So, sorry for the long delay. I will try to be a little bit faster with my next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I will see you guys in the next one.